My name is Kevin Patch. I am the general manager for technology for a local sports and entertainment city here in Southern California. I've been there close to 30 years. And this is a little bit about my story of how you can get from where I was to where I'm at today. A moment, uh, a decade, or a moment?
A moment.
uh,
Or however you want to answer.
Well, I can give you the Reader's Digest version. For me, it was May the 19th of 1999, and I was alone at where I lived, and I had a loaded gun in my mouth, and I was going to pull the trigger. That was a turning point for me. I put the gun down. Because I had kids and I thought about them at that moment, and I got on my knees and I said a simple prayer, right? God, please help me. And if you do, right, I promise I'll spend the rest of my life telling people what you did for me. So. Before I got clean or after? Because just because I got clean. Right. Didn't mean that I wasn't going to be overcoming some challenges, because I have. So before, look, anytime I had a challenge in my life, but I was so, loaded the first, part of my life that I don't know how I overcame them. I stayed loaded. That's my best answer. After I got clean, I relied on God a lot. When I faced challenges in my life, I relied a lot on the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Around the men around me, I surrounded myself with a good group of men that gave a shit about me, and cared about stuff that I was going through and were willing to help me. And when I was out there getting loaded, I never had quality people around me that wanted to help me. They wanted what I had, or what I could get them. It was never I never had any real relationships in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was. It started. I was doing some 9-step amends work that my sponsor had directed me to do. I started to get involved in my community. The people in the community didn't know why I was doing it, right? I knew why I was doing it. I had disrespected this community for a long, long time. I'd done a lot of things that were illegal in this community. I had burnt a lot of people, right? And when it came time to set right my wrongs, I wasn't sure how to do that, because there were people that I'd harmed that I did not know. And when I went to my sponsor, he said, "Look, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go out to the community, and you're going to get involved in the community." And I went down to the local YMCA, and I said, "Look, I'd like to volunteer my time." And long story short, through doing that, I've been involved with. I've been on the board of directors at the YMCA, my local town, for 22 years now. And Boys and Girls Club, again, 21 years. I'm a local Rotarian in the city that I work in. I'm on the board for Cops for Kids. I do a lot of other things in the community, but through doing all that, in 2012, I was the Chamber of Commerce's Man of the Year. I was receiving an award from a senator, and I just couldn't help but think that they weren't honoring me. They were honoring what I stood for, which is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and the men that had came before me. So, really proud of that moment. So for me, forgiveness is, it's part of it's part of the process of recovery. It is the forgiveness piece. A lot of people think that you're going to get clean and sober, you're going to fix your life, you're going to do all this, and everybody's going to forgive you, and it's kind of, it's upside down, right? So what I had to do, and we have steps that are designed to do that, through working the steps, I had to I had to forgive a lot of people, and not just forgive them, but realize that things that I had done, uh, had a lot to do, with people hurting me. So once I kind of looked at it like that, that it wasn't completely their fault. 9 times out of 10, I had a lot to do with that, and but the forgiveness part was huge, man, because if you're anything like me, I'm an alcoholic, man. And if you look at our book, and our book talks about resentment, right? And resentment will keep me sick, right? So, forgiveness is vital, right? If I want to have the relationship that I'm supposed to have with God, and if I want to stay sober for the rest of my life, and if I want to do it without wanting to stick a gun in my mouth sober, right? And I want to have some peace in my life, then it's absolutely vital to my permanent recovery is forgiveness. That's a great question. A lot of people think that you get clean and sober and everything's just going to be great in your life, and I got sober in 1999, and in 2000 I got married, right, and had a little baby, you and for about the first 12 years of my sobriety, I had bought a house. I had a lot going on. I was married. Uh, I had a little girl, and I remember that everything's going. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Life is great. We're all standing around, holding hands, singing "Kumbaya." Everything's perfect, man. And when everything's perfect like that, life's great. And out of the blue, my wife came home one day. This is after like 11, 12 years of marriage, right? And she said, I've been having an affair for a year, and I'm leaving you. And I remember how that felt. I was devastated, right? Like, I mean, completely devastated. I had an 8-year-old daughter, 9-year-old daughter at the time, and I was the best dad in the world, man. I still am to this day, right? And I just remember that I was completely devastated, I look back in our book, right, and it talks about if the alcoholic fails to perfect and enlarge on his spiritual life, right, through work and self-sacrifice for others, he's not going to be able to survive the certain trials and low spots that lie ahead, right? And that was one of the trials and one of the low spots, right? I had another instance where my mom passed away. I was 6 years sober, and it's a shitty way to find out you're a mama's boy, right? The hard way. And so there are situations like that happened in my life, and there's been others, but that's two very, very big ones that impacted me. And if you want to say that was a turning point where some people go out and throw it all away, over that, it's a pretty good reason to go do that, I guess, but it's not what I did, right? What I did is I hit my knees again like I did when I got sober, man, and asked God for his help, and his help came through other men in the program, and they rallied around me and they lifted me up, and I walked through a very, very painful process, man, and it was the most painful thing I've ever had to walk through in my life, but I did it, and I never gave up, and I never got loaded. So
Awesome.
when I got to the program, so I had been to the program a few times, right? I'd been to some meetings. Well, I was told to go to some meetings early on. Everybody in my life knew I had a problem, right? And I suspected that I might, but I just, looked at your solution in the program and thought it was a little drastic. I, but advice that I got in the very beginning, right? Again, I got a lot of great advice, right? I got some of the greatest advice that I'll never remember getting, right? It wasn't until the time that I showed up in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, definitely knowing that this program's not going to work for a guy like me, and I ran into a guy that I ran the streets with, and so I knew I knew how he got down. He got down like I got down, right?
Yeah.
And there's no way that the two of us are supposed to be, sitting in a room of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it was good to see him. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and he told me he was sober for 5 years, and I was like, really? And yeah, and probably the best advice I ever got is, what he told me. He said, "Look, stupid, if you want what we have, you're going to have to do what we do." And it was that simple, because I'd been to the program many times, and I probably heard the best advice you can get, and I just could never receive it until I could receive it, right? And once I could receive it, it was very simple, right? If I wanted something different, I was going to have to do something different, and so I started doing something different. So Chad and Summer both. I don't know if your name appears anywhere on it, but
It does.
But it should, right? Chief Operating Officer. Anyway, just trying to get you a promotion, but so I know Chad and Summer very well. I know who they are as human beings. I know what kind of makes them tick. I know what's in their heart, and I know what they're trying to do, right? And I know what their core values are. I believe that they're consistent with mine. If I don't believe, I know for a fact they are. Chad and I have spent a lot of time on the water, just kind of talking about life, how can we help more people, man? And, I know that's what gets him up in the morning, and that's what gets me up in the morning. And so I think that our values could not be closer.
Awesome.
It's impossible. So, it's kind of a odd mixed bag. Now I have a big beautiful life. I don't. I guess I in my life today I don't take things for granted, right? And I don't forget about what's important. What I've learned from being where I've been, right, is that well, I'll put it this way, right? What I found out along the way is the best things in life are not things at all, right? I value, relationships. And I always used to think that it was important, how cool of a car I drove or how much money I had in the bank, right? And the longer I stick around here, the more I realize that none of that stuff matters, right? What really matters is, when I woke up this morning, my son wanted to put on his Spider-Man suit, jump around the living room and take pictures, and that's what we did. You know what I mean? And I think that me being where I've been in life gives me a deep and profound appreciation for the little things in life today. Mm-hmm. My name's Kevin, and I'm unfucked.